a determined teenager from the streets, fights for money while searching for his kidnapped sister. When one of his fights unexpectedly awakens mystical powers he never knew he possessed, Seiya is thrust into a world of battling saints, ancient magical training, and a reincarnated goddess in need of his protection. To survive, he must embrace his destiny and make significant sacrifices to join the Knights of the Zodiac. The movie starts with the introduction of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, who was reborn as a helpless baby. Other gods and mythical creatures want her dead, which is why the brave knights swore allegiance to her. The god tries to attack baby Athena, but the knight protects her and is wounded instead. The knight fights back with a burst of magical energy and gives his life just to safeguard Athena as they land on Earth. The scene opens up as Seiya, the protagonist, reminisces about the training he had and the words of wisdom his sister told him. He also remembers how his sister was abducted and disappeared without a trace. Returning to the present time, a man calls out Seiya as the next in line for a match. The announcer then begins to introduce the fighters. His opponent is Jockey, the Beast, who is the undisputed champion of the Octagon. Seiya is also introduced, but the audience boos him as he enters the Octagon. The referee then proceeds to brief them about the rules. While the referee is still speaking, Jockey throws him away and jumps onto Seiya with a punch. Jockey starts throwing combinations at Seiya, but he dodges the punches perfectly. Seiya dodges Jockey's combinations like a dancer. Cassios, a fighter in the Octagon, becomes annoyed with Seiya's way of fighting. He suddenly jumps into the Octagon while Jockey and Seiya are fighting. Jockey is about to attack Seiya, but Cassios then kicks his face, throwing him outside the Octagon. Cassios starts fighting Seiya by kicking him in the body and forcibly rubbing his face against the wall fence. Seiya tries to dodge and fight back, but Cassios is too strong for him. He punches Seiya's face until he becomes dizzy because of the punches. He celebrates as he holds Seiya's head up. Seiya tries to fight back, but Cassios punches him again, holds him by his neck, and tries to slam him on the floor. However, while Cassios is about to slam him on the floor, memories of his sister flash back, triggering a wing-like energy on his back. Bursting out, Cassios is thrown in the air. The two of them snap back and stand up. This time around, the tables have turned, and Seiya seems to overpower Cassios. After Seiya knocks down Cassios, he immediately climbs the fence wall of the Octagon and runs away. He packs his things quickly, but suddenly, a man in a suit appears and tells him that someone wants to see him outside. He refuses at first, but the man says that the person who wants to meet him knows that he is searching for his sister. Out of curiosity and desperation to gain some info about his sister, Seiya goes to meet the man. The mysterious old man straightforwardly asks him to join the private army of his wife. He also tells him that the Octagon serves as a place to scout prospects with potential. He gives Seiya a choice of whether he will join him or fight Gurad's warriors. Seiya then follows the mysterious old man, running away from Gurad's warriors. The bouncer of the old man tries to stop the warriors, but manages to defeat him and come past him. They run together to escape their pursuers. While running, they come across a man with a sniper rifle. The old man tells Seiya to get down. After he gets down, the guard, Mailake, fires bullets at the warriors, but the warriors are bulletproof. The bullets manage to slow them down, but not enough to stop them entirely. They run toward the car while the man is covering them. They successfully enter the car. Mailake then starts the car and drives it backward while they are attacked by a plane until the point he drifts the car and drives forward. The plane continues to chase them. The plane fires a rocket at their car. Fortunately, the car is fortified, and they manage to survive the rocket attack. The driver brings the car inside a tunnel so that the plane will lose their track. After the long way of going with them, Seiya still expresses doubts about them and refuses to go inside with them. The mysterious old man then signals Mailake to taser Seiya. Seiya loses his consciousness. Seiya then wakes up inside a plane, flying in the air. The mysterious old man tries to calm him down. The old man says that he is safer with them because Gurad's warriors are pursuing him and want to abduct him like his sister. When they arrive, the mysterious old man introduces himself as Alman Kido, a successful businessman. He then tells Saya that he is destined to be a knight of the reincarnation of Athena. Saya mockingly responds to Almond by saying that he needs a therapist. Almond persistently tells him that he will be the knight of Athena. However, Saya still stubbornly refuses to listen until Almond brings up his sister. Almond tells him that his sister as well knows about the cosmos. While they are talking, Sienna appears. Almond proceeds to inform Saya that Gurad's warriors are after Sienna, and it's his duty to protect her because she is the reincarnation of Athena. Frustrated with Saya's attitude, Sienna hands him a box containing the necklace of his sister, which is the key to Pegasus armor. Still, Saya refuses to accept the mission. He stubbornly turns down whatever Almond says to him because he finds it ridiculous and unbelievable. Almond then understands Saya and gives him time to process everything. While they are eating, the guard of Almond comes inside to report something to his boss. They went out while Sienna and Saya are left alone eating. While Saya eats, Sienna tells him that most people would feel honored eating with a future goddess, but Saya coldly responds that he is not like most people. Suddenly, Sienna feels a power surging inside her. It appears that her memories as a goddess flash back. She then tells Saya to back off. Saya thought that she is just offended by what he said, but it appears that Athena is about to burst Cosmos. Saya nervously stands up, trying to come close to her to help. She is about to burst out when her dad Almond comes back and calms her down, canceling the burst of energy. Almond informs Saya that the burst of Cosmos could have killed him. He adds that Sienna contains the cosmos of the goddess while having a mortal body. Saya, shockingly witnessing the supposed burst of Cosmos, realizes that what Almond is saying is true. On the other side, Gurad talks with Cassios and requests him to kill Saya. She tells him that he should go and kill Saya before he learns to use his full potential. Cassios, annoyed by what Saya did to him, agrees with Gurad without a reward. Meanwhile, Sienna finds Saya sitting down beside the ocean. She approaches him, and they talk about their past. Sienna tells Saya that when she was a baby, Almond and Gurad found her. Gurad being focused on the armor of the knight holding Sienna in his hands, but Almond is captured by the baby and raised her. Sienna says that even though they are not connected by blood, she acknowledges Almond as her real dad. After moments of contemplation, Saya becomes convinced of coordinating with them and asks to start training with the Silver Knight, Marin. Meanwhile, at Gurad's headquarters, Gurad absorbs humans with Cosmos to strengthen her more. Gurad's officer then expresses his disagreement in giving Cassios the task of eliminating Saya, but Gurad reminds him that she has no choice because he failed in his last mission. On the other side, Sienna wishes Saya luck in his training as he goes inside the plane. After a few hours, Saya and Almond's guard arrive at the destination of Marin. Mylok points to where he will train, and Saya asks to drop him off there. However, Mylok tells him that it's not how it works. The scene forwards to Saya climbing the high mountain. Saya struggles his way up the mountain. He even drops the lunchbox Sienna made for him. When he reaches the top, he finally meets the Silver Knight, Marin. She says to him that she only trains knights and does not consider Saya as one. Saya shows his necklace, which the Pegasus Knight only possesses. Marin, still not convinced of his words, suddenly jumps off the cliff, disappearing into the clouds. Saya then goes after her, but is not able to find her. While wandering around, Marin suddenly appears and tells him that he is like one of Athena's knights, the Phoenix, who is the strongest of Athena's knights. Marin then says that she will call Mylok to pick him up, but Saya insists on giving him a chance. Marin then says to him that if Saya breaks the rock with bare hands, she will consider him as her student. He tells Marin that it is impossible to break the rock with bare hands. Marin proceeds to show him how it's done and breaks the rock in her hand. She tells Saya to focus and feel his cosmos. Saya meditates, and while he is meditating, his necklace shines. When he is about to punch the rock with the power of cosmos, his focus suddenly lost when he hears his sister's voice in his mind. Saya becomes discouraged and tells Marin that he might not be the Pegasus Knight, where Marin replies that he is not right now, but soon, maybe he will be. Meanwhile, at Gurad's headquarters, Cassios rises from the waters covered with black steel. Gurad then says that Luckily, Cassios did agree to the permanent changes to his body. Cassios, not informed about the permanence, gets angry and attacks Gurad's guards. However, when he is about to attack her, Gurad parries his attack and tells him that they all made sacrifices. Cassios walks away frustrated. All the while, Marin begins to train and test Seiya. She tells Seiya to bring all he's got and spar with her. Marin lunges at him and Seiya dodges. She continues to attack him in close combat, but Seiya manages to dodge her attacks up until Marin launches a kick at him. Marin continues to beat and school Seiya in close combat. Marin proceeds to activate her Meteor Fist and finishes Seiya off. Marin tells Seiya that he has to learn the Meteor Fist if he wants to survive. Later that night, Sienna begins to dream again. She sees herself lifting a wand in power, bursting a powerful energy that harms Seiya and ultimately destroys the Earth. Alman immediately comes inside her room and calms her down. The next morning, Seiya and Marin continue to train and fight. Marin tells Seiya that his mind is still far away. She reminds him to focus on the situation at hand. She reminds him that to be a knight, his mind and body must be one. Marin continues Seiya's harsh training day and night. However, Seiya is still not able to break the rock with his fists. The night comes, and Seiya and Marin are sitting beside a bonfire. Seiya asks Marin how she ended up on the island. Marin responds that she is destined for the island for a purpose. Seiya shares his purpose of finding her sister. Marin reminds him that he should not mistake obsession for purpose. She tells him to find his true purpose beyond the pain. First thing in the morning, Seiya trains his body. Seiya continues to train by dodging and finally breaking a stone with his hands. From day till night, Seiya trains his body and mind. At the same time, Gurad's officer interrogates the bouncer of Alman so that he will reveal the place where they are hiding Sienna. After a long and difficult interrogation, the bouncer refuses to compromise. Gurad's officer then presses his forehead. After he does that to the bouncer starts to hallucinate and sees a giant centipede in front of him. The bouncer screams because seeing the giant centipede is his biggest fear. After a long time of harsh and intense training, Seiya finally unleashes his Cosmo, destroying a large rock into pieces with a single punch. After he destroys the rock, his necklace shines and becomes a large box. It divides into pieces in the air and flies towards Seiya. The Pegasus armor finally activates and covers Seiya. However, a sudden wave of energy affects him, causing Seiya to get down on his knees. A memory of his sister's abduction flashes back to his mind. While in the memory, he sees Alman together with Gurad kidnapping his sister Patricia. Seiya then, in anger, decides to leave the island, but Marin stops him because he is not ready yet. Seiya refuses to be stopped, which is why he lunges towards Marin. Marin tells him to calm down and warns him that the armor will reject him if Seiya's mind and body are not clear. Seiya, ignoring everything that Marin says, continues to fight her, until ending up losing the armor. He stubbornly insists on being sent back or just being killed. Seiya is sent back to Alman's mansion, angry, calling out Alman for deceiving him. Seiya continues to angrily call out Alman, and Sienna arrives at the scene and stops him. Sienna tells him to come with her so that she can tell him what happened that day. Athena tells Seiya that Alman did it in order to protect Sienna. She also tells him that when she was younger, she had no control of her cosmos and accidentally destroyed her mother's arm. Her mother was dying, and Alman used the golden armor to save her. So Alman is forced to seek humans with cosmos so that Gurad will still live. Sienna then finally reveals that the mother she is pointing to is Gurad. After the incident, Gurad believes that Sienna is a threat to Earth. That is why Gurad is after her life. Going back to the story, Gurad finds out that Seiya's sister does not have a Cosmo. She lets her go, but Gurad knows Patricia is hiding something, so she orders her watchmen to monitor her. Sienna then says to Seiya that if she ever starts to be the goddess of war, she asks Seiya to promise to stop her, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, Gurad's signals are detected going closely to their headquarters. Alman orders Mylok to go and find Sienna and escape while he buys time for them. Alman then says his goodbye to his friend Mylok. While Sienna and Seiya are talking, they hear Gurad's plane and immediately run to help Alman. Gurad's guards begin to breach the mansion and beat the guards at the front door. Gurad and Cassios successfully break in and meet Alman, where Alman asks for a deal. At the same time, Mylok faces Gurad's guards in order to get to the ship. Going back, the ex-couple argues about what they should do to Sienna. Alman insists that he believes in Sienna. He knows that Sienna will not end up destroying the world. Gurad refuses and persistently proceeds to capture Sienna. Suddenly, they hear the sound of a motorcycle outside, which appears to be Seiya and Sienna. Alman tries to threaten them by showing the trigger of the bomb he planted beforehand. Before even Alman reacts, Cassios crashes towards him and destroys the bomb trigger. Gurad's guards try to capture Sienna, but Seiya stops them by beating them. However, Cassios comes and stops their escape. Seiya tries to transform but is not able to do so. He continues to fight even though he didn't successfully transform. The two exchange blows, but Cassios with his new body overpowers Seiya, sending him flying in the air. Seiya stands up and tries to fire Cosmos at Cassios, but the Cosmos doesn't even affect Cassios. Cassios pounces over him and punches Seiya. On the other hand, Mylok successfully defeats his opponents. Alman awakens and finds the bomb connected and removes it. Cassios continues to punch Seiya non-stop. While punching Seiya, Alman manually activates the bomb and throws it at Gurad. Gurad's plane retreats with her, but the explosion affects Cassios, Seiya, and Sienna as well. Seiya loses consciousness because of the beating and explosion, while Sienna was captured and brought to Gurad's headquarters to ultimately kill her. Gurad then explains to Sienna that she does these things to protect Earth from the destructive power inside her. She says that she doesn't plan to absorb her cosmos. Gurad cries in grief and tells Sienna that ending her daughter is not easy for her. She only does what she thinks is right. After the talk, Gurad proceeds to go to the control center and orders to commence the god-killing machine. During the process, Sienna screams in pain. Finally, Seiya snaps out of his unconsciousness and realizes that Sienna is taken. Seiya loses heart and says that he has failed. Seiya gets down on his knees and meditates. Mylok touches him, but a bluish energy comes out from Seiya. In Seiya's meditation, he sees Marin telling him the same things she said to him and suddenly disappears. Seiya proceeds to walk in his dream and sees a closet. Inside the closet, he sees a young Seiya crying and apologizing. He hugs him and says to him that he will bring her back. After Seiya meditates, he and Mylok ride the plane to go towards Sienna, while the completion of Sienna's elimination is at 21%. When they arrive, Seiya has no other choice but to jump from the plane because the enemies are firing at them. Seiya activates his cosmos and jumps out of the plane, landing on the ground with his Pegasus armor. At the entrance, Seiya meets with Cassios taunting him. Seiya warns him to stay away if he doesn't want to be hurt. Cassios angrily attacks, and Seiya jump kicks him in the air, destroying his armor. On the other hand, Gurad finally is convinced to trust Sienna and orders her officer to stop the process. However, her officer refuses to stop. She lets her guards attack him, but the officer appears to be a powerful foe. The officer then transforms into a Phoenix Knight, the most powerful knight of Athena. He attacks the guards and easily defeats them. Gurad then attacks him and exchanges blows with him, but the Phoenix is stronger than her. He says to her that killing Athena is just a part of his plan. The other part is to get the golden armor. When the Phoenix is about to finish Gurad, Seiya enters the scene. He immediately blocks Seiya from rescuing Sienna and punches him up to the rooftop. The two knights clash and fight evenly. They continue to exchange blows, but the Phoenix manages to kick Seiya away. Seiya stands up and fires meteor punches at the Phoenix. However, the Phoenix is unfazed, returns back, and fires a ranged attack of his own. The Phoenix continues to throw a power punch at Seiya, landing on him. Seiya again crashes to the ground, but this time, Seiya activates his meteor punch while the Phoenix is about to pounce on him. At the same time, the Phoenix activates his burst of cosmos. Their cosmos matches and bursts, throwing them apart from each other. Gurad regains consciousness and tries to stop the machine. Unfortunately, everything is too late to stop the process. Sienna now becomes Athena, the god of war, who threatens to destroy humanity. The Phoenix Knight tries to kill her, but she is already awakened. The Phoenix Knight's armor gets destroyed and throws him away. The things that happen in her vision are now starting to take place. Seiya struggles to get closer to Athena to stop her. The force of the energy is too strong, and Seiya needs to walk against it. Sienna tells Seiya that she can no longer be saved, but he has to stop Athena. Seiya, with all his might, continues to stop her, even to the point that his armor falls off him. When he gets closer, Seiya tells Sienna that it is only her who can stop Athena. No one's destiny is ever written in stone. He also tells her that no matter what she becomes, he will never give up on her. Sienna is moved by Seiya's words, manages to stop the immense burst of energy. Sienna successfully takes control of her body, but her hair turns purple. While Seiya is holding Sienna, she wakes up and punches him, and starts to joke. Athena then finds Gurad. She heals her, and finally removes her curse. They meet with Mylok, and the three of them leave the place with a plane. The Phoenix Knight survives the burst of energy as well. After a period of time, Seiya and Sienna go to Marin and talk about what they will do next. Sienna says that the awakening of Athena will be a sign for the old gods to return and start a war. In order to prepare for the war, they must gather the Knights of the Zodiac. Athena then says that before gathering the Knights of the Zodiac, they will find Seiya's sister, Patricia, where Seiya responds with gratitude.